When the British expanded their empire into Africa during the 19th century, missionaries quickly followed. They were often the first Europeans to live among African communities, long before formal colonial administrations were established. Their central mission was to spread Christianity, but their work extended far beyond preaching. Missionaries sought to reshape African societies through religion, education, and what they called civilization. Missionaries believed that the spread of Christianity required literacy. To read the Bible, Africans needed schools. And so, missionaries began to establish some of the earliest Western-style schools in Sierra Leone, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and South Africa. These schools taught not just reading and writing, but also European languages, especially English, which soon became the key to advancement under colonial rule. For the British, missionary schools were more than just religious institutions. They were convenient tools. They produced a class of Africans who could serve as interpreters, clerks, and teachers within the colonial system. In Nigeria, the Church Missionary Society created schools that trained Africans not only in religious knowledge, but also in administrative skills. This gave the British a ready-made educated class to help rule their empire more efficiently. But missionary influence went beyond the classroom. Christian missions challenged African traditions and cultural practices. Polygamy, traditional rituals, and indigenous governance systems were condemned as pagan. In their place, missionaries introduced new values rooted in Christianity, reshaping family life, belief systems, and even gender roles across African communities. One of the most lasting contributions of British missionaries was the creation of African elites. Those who received missionary education often became leaders in their communities, and later in nationalist movements. Men like G.E. Casely Hayford of the Gold Coast and Herbert Macaulay of Nigeria were products of missionary schooling. Yet, missionary schools also created divisions. Africans who embraced Christianity and Western education often looked down on those who maintained traditional beliefs. This deepened a cultural gap between the educated and the uneducated. In the end, the legacy of British missionaries in Africa is double-edged. They spread literacy, established schools, and laid the foundations of modern education across the continent. They also helped create a generation of African elites who later led the nationalist struggles for freedom. Yet their efforts also undermined traditional cultures and reinforced colonial control. The story of missionary influence is therefore one of both empowerment and disruption, a force that shaped Africa's past and continues to echo in its present.